The Pittsburgh Pirates did a great thing extending star outfielder Bryan Reynolds. And it's a great thing for a multitude of different reasons. So Tuesday morning, we get word Bryan Reynolds and the Pirates are in agreement on an 8-year, $106.75 million contract extension. We learned some of the details afterwards. Limited no-trade clause, 6 teams. That came from Jeff Passan of ESPN. We learned there's no opt-outs. We learned that, we learned how the money was going to be broken up. And we'll get to some of that here in a minute. But the bottom line is this is great for everybody. One, it's great for Bryan Reynolds. Okay, $106.75 million is life-changing money. Yes, I understand. He could have hit free agency in 3 years, and he could have potentially went and gotten more. I get that. But rather than risk injury, risk poor performance, and risk, what he's going to be in 3 years, he decided to take the bag now. And that's fine. If that's what a guy wants to do, then that's what a guy wants to do. $106+ million is generational money for you and your family. Congratulations to you. It's also good to know as a player that you can be rewarded by your team and valued enough by your team for what you have accomplished. And that's rewarding, right? All of us at work like to know that we're valued and appreciated. And what's the way to show that? With money. With dollars. And Bryan Reynolds got dollars. Look, I'm looking at Danny Vietti right now on Twitter, right, at the Wake and Rake podcast. He's got these numbers out here. Among NL center fielders since 2022, so last year plus this year, Bryan Reynolds is first in home runs, first in slugging, first in average exit velocity, first in hard hit rate, tied for first in extra base hits, first in total bases, second in RBI, second in batting average, second in OPS, second in WRC+. Bryan Reynolds is at the top of the charts for National League center fielders. Okay? He is one of the better players in the National League. It is good for the Pirates to have locked up a very good player. It's good for Bryan Reynolds to be valued by his employer. It's good for Bryan Reynolds to get life-changing money. And it's good for Bryan Reynolds' psyche to know that, hey, you put in the work, you get the results, and you get rewarded afterwards. So that's good right there. 2, this is great. This is a great message within the Pirates clubhouse, within the Pirates farm system, and around baseball. This is good PR every way you spin this. Because if I'm a young Pirates player in the clubhouse, right? Pirates have a lot of young players, right? They've done this redevelopment thing, this rebuild, this prospect development thing for a few years now. They got a lot of young players in the system and coming up. Now those players can look at it and say, this organization will take care of me. Right? There are other organizations where, okay, you think Tampa, you think Oakland, where your team will not hold on to you. You are just playing for the first 5 years as an audition for everybody else. Now, the young players in that clubhouse, the young players in that farm system have been sent a message that this organization cares and this organization will invest in us. And you cannot underestimate the value in that. They've locked up Reynolds. They've locked up their manager. They've locked up Brian Hayes. The message being sent to players in that room and the players who will someday be in that room is that this team will take care of us if we produce. And that is a huge assurance and a huge motivation for young players. It also sends the message out to prospective free agents that, you know what, this organization is now serious. Maybe you weren't for a while, but you are now a serious player again. And look, the Pirates aren't going to be able to do this all on their own. They're not going to be able to do it solely with the in-house methodology. They're not only going to be able to do this prospect development-wise, right? The Braves are great at prospect development. Still needed Matt Olson. The Mariners have been good at prospect development. Still had to trade for Teoscar Hernandez. Still went out and signed Robbie Ray. Still traded for Luis Castillo. The Astros, unbelievable at prospect development. Still went out, signed Jose Abreu. Still in the past, traded for Greinke, Verlander, Cole. You can do a lot of it on your own. You can lay the groundwork on your own. You can't do it all on your own. So now this sends the message to prospective free agents that this team is serious about competing. And finally, it's just good for the fans. Okay? Pirate fans are great baseball fans. Pittsburgh fans are great sports fans. And yes, they've had great hockey success and great football success, but they want a baseball winner. And as we tape this right now, they're 16-7. I don't know that they're going to hold on to be that great winner this year, but at least finally the arrow is pointing upwards. At least finally you're starting to think there's light at the end of the tunnel. Look, the Pirates won 62 games a year ago, 61 in 2021. They won 19 in the COVID season, so 19-41, 69 the year before that. They haven't won 70 games since 2018. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2015. They've only been to the playoffs 3 times since 1992. The fans have not had a lot to cheer about, have not had a lot to be optimistic about. This finally is that. The message is sent that there's something happening here. Reynolds, Brian Hayes locked up. O'Neal Cruz, I know he's hurt. Manager locked up. This is a team that's on the upswing. Bryan Reynolds gets rewarded. The young players in that system see what can happen if you produce, and they have something to shoot for and something to be excited about, and the fans finally have something to rally around for the first time since 2015, seemingly. This is good all around. And look, Bryan Reynolds is 28 years old. I understand that at 36, when this deal's done, he might not be the player that he is now, and you are taking a risk when you do that. But that said, the way this contract breaks out, I mean, this is a huge win for the Pirates no matter what. All right? I mean, Robert Murray, of FanSide, had the deals initially. He's never going to make more than $15 million in a season. The team option is 20, but of the base years, he's never going to make more than $15 million. Okay, $15 million in 2030 is going to be nothing. I'm looking right now at the highest paid outfielders in baseball. Remember, Bryan Reynolds is going to make $15 million. Chris Bryant's making 28. Is Chris Bryant double the player that Bryan Reynolds is? No. Christian Yelich is making 26. Is Christian Yelich $11 million better than Bryan Reynolds? No. I'm looking at Starling Marte is making 21. Nick Castellanos is making 20. Jock Peterson is making 19. Brandon Nimmo is making 18.5. Saya Suzuki is making 18. Players who are not as good as Reynolds right now are making significantly more than the highest year of Reynolds' contract, $15 million. And complete unknown, Masataka Yoshida is making $15.6 million this year. Bryan Reynolds will never make that much. This is a home run deal for the Pirates in a lot of ways. Good for the team now, good for the team in the future, good for the fan base, good for the prospects, and by the way, good for Ben Cherington. I hope Ben Cherington, who's the GM of the Pirates, gets to see this one all the way through, because this is what he did with the Red Sox, and he wasn't there to see it, right? Ben Cherington is the guy that found the killer bees in Boston. Betts, Benintendi, Bradley. A lot of the young prospects that built the 2018 World Series champion for the Red Sox, Ben Cherington found. And he never got to see it through because the team switched directions and brought in Dave Dombrowski. I hope Ben Cherington, who's doing the same thing in Pittsburgh, has the same kind of success in Pittsburgh, but gets to see it all the way through.